Since Notre Dame and Brian Kelly went down to Clemson in 2015, Clemson has had a very, very solid 5 years. They went 14-1 in 2015. Then the next few years go as follow: 14-1 title, 12-2 bowl win, 15-0 title, 14-1 bowl win in the playoff, and then losing in the title to LSU. And now they're 7-0. In that time, they are 76-5 with a 93.8% win percentage. That is astounding. So I have to give some respect to them for that. But I don't have to like them, despite their 4 big bowl wins and 2 national titles. Brian Kelly in that time is a 75% win percentage, 53-17, with 0 big bowls and 0 titles. And head-to-head, he's 0-2 versus Dabo Swinney. So since Clemson has only lost 5 times, I felt it necessary to understand what was happening in those games. How was Clemson losing? What were their opponents doing? Who are those opponents? And what is common? And of those elements that are common for Clemson's opponents, or what Clemson was doing that was screwing them up, does Notre Dame have an advantage? Those losses are as follows. In 2015, the title game, Clemson lost to Alabama 45-40. In 2016, they lost to Pitt 42-43. In 2017, they had 2 losses. Once to Syracuse, 24-27, and then to Alabama, lost 24-6. The average score of those losses is Clemson 27.4 and their opponent 36.2. So what is the trend? You've got some high scores, you got some low scores, you got some 1-score games there. How can we make sense? So I looked at what I consider the important stats for games, and the stats are as follows: rushing touchdowns, total offense, sacks, tackles for loss, passing touchdowns, turnovers, third down percentage, rushing yards, passing yards, time of possession, and then number of points in each quarter. There is not one of these stats that all 5 games are common, but there are 6 stats where 4 out of the 5 games all had the advantage for Clemson's opponent. Those 6 stats are passing touchdowns, turnovers, that makes sense, third down percentage, rushing yards, time of possession, and points in the fourth quarter. There are 3 stats that Notre Dame does have an advantage, and if they pursue these, they will win. First, rushing yards. Notre Dame is averaging 231 rushing yards this season. Clemson, 166. Despite Etienne's excellence, Notre Dame is exceeding them. If Notre Dame rushes for more yards, they will win. In addition to that, third down percentage. Notre Dame has an excellent third down percentage. Clemson is only at about 50%. Notre Dame, their offense, 54% on third down. That is astounding, because that's going to lead into this next stat. You keep your drive alive, you wear down the opponent's defense, and the longer you're on the field, the larger your time of possession, which brings me to the next point. 4 out of the 5 teams that Clemson has lost to over the last 5 seasons, in all of these games, they won the time of possession battle. Notre Dame is 57%, Clemson 53%. So Notre Dame wins out with time of possession, coupled with third down, coupled with rushing. With that kind of offensive production, they will win. The most interesting item, though, for all of Clemson's losses is the number of points scored in the fourth quarter. Right now, Clemson versus Notre Dame, on average, are scoring 14 and 8 points in the first quarter, 16 and 13.8 in the second, 8.7 and 9. So Notre Dame actually is scoring on average more points in the third quarter, but then 7 and 4. In all of Clemson's losses over the last 5 seasons, since 2015, they have scored only 16 points total in these losses, and that was in one game. in the Clemson versus Alabama game. But Alabama scored 24 points in the fourth quarter to win the title in 2015. 2016 Pitt, 2017 Syracuse, 2017 Alabama, and 2019 LSU. All 4 of those games, Clemson scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. And one of those games, Alabama also scored 0 points. But Alabama scored 14 in the third quarter, and then Clemson only had 3 in the third quarter. Here's my point. If Notre Dame can shut out Clemson in the fourth quarter, Notre Dame will be victorious. Notre Dame defense. You win championships. Our rushing is the backbone of the offense. Utilize that. Pound and ground, man ball, whatever you want to talk about. Throw it to Mayer. You know he's a strength on this team. Tommy Tremble, get him in an H-back situation, lead blocking for Chris Tyree, for our running backs. Get them out there. Play physical football. I want Mike Mayer to be like Megatron out there and just bulldozing over people. We need to pound and ground. I'm getting visions of Jerome Bettis and Ricky Waters out there. None of this sexy, flashy stuff, all right? Be Golden Tate, dive headfirst into a trombone, okay, and take it straight to Clemson.